What's up, fam? I'm your host, Jack Setterman. Joining me today, and always, is my co-host and longtime best friend, Abe Granoff. Abe, we're out of the stew after one stewie, but we'll be back. We'll be back. I had to get a little, reward myself with a little studio and then vacation. So tell me what's on your mind today.
Yeah, I mean, listen, man. People are talking about it in the streets. It's a tough life you live when you have to go to the Super Bowl All-Star game and then have to go on vacation. As if the Super Bowl and All-Star game wasn't a vacation itself. But I think
was it for you? Was Super Bowl a vacation for you?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I got home and you went back to work, and as usual, work sucks the next day on Sunday. But what's on my mind? I wanted to come with a little would you rather that came up in conversation over the weekend for you. And I think it's all person to person dependent what you value most. But I'm going to ask you a question, Jack. If you're going to give up one of these for the rest of your life, no matter what, you can't do it. It's either the drunk eats, 1 a.m, pizza, Taco Bell, however you take it, whatever your drunk eats are, or the hangover breakfast sandwich the next morning. What are you giving up for the rest of your life? And
I'm giving up the...
Keep going.
What?
I'm
giving up the hangover breakfast sandwich. Like, no questions asked.
Are you going to phrase it about, like, I'll just get an omelet or something?
No. I just, like, rarely, if I wake up hungover, it's weird because most people do. I don't crave the greasy breakfast sandwich. That honestly just makes it worse for me. It makes me more hungover. It sinks me in even more. It doesn't satisfy me. When I'm hungover, I'm not looking for like a hearty big meal. So that's actually a fairly easy one for me.
So what's your hangover remedy if it's not the breakfast sandwich? Just cry, bitch, and moan until it goes away.
Yeah, I like to try and hydrate up as best I can. I like something light. Like, I'd rather something light than, like, a greasy... Yeah. Ugh, the more I think about it, it's just the more, like, depressing it makes me.
See, you give me a diner breakfast, a breakfast sandwich with a shower prior to that after a hangover, and that's, like, what Pat Mahomes got shot with at his ankle for me. That brings me right back to life. So for me, I think I would give up the drunk eating aspect of it because one's more of a necessity and one's more of a want, right? Like for me, the shower and the breakfast sandwich, the shower and the diner omelet, whatever it may be, that's my bread and butter for recovering. Whereas the drunk eating late night, while it is fun in the moment, like it's not necessary. You can forget about it. So I'm gonna hold on to that breakfast sandwich because that's what I need to stay alive.
It's just. It's expensive. It's not convenient.
$6 downstairs at my local spot. Bacon, egg, and cheese.
Yeah,
and I don't view a breakfast sandwich as
the stairs. It's like The thing about the drunk eats is it's either pizza on the way out of the bar or maybe like late night delivery on the way home, and that is much more convenient than I'm hungover. I gotta get up, get dressed, go get it. Like you're jumping straight into the shower. Like that's some psycho shit to me.
So I actually did both yesterday in one day. I had a breakfast sandwich yesterday morning after a few margaritas at dinner the night prior. Brought me right back to life. Was feeling fine. Then had a few beers with some friends during the day. Hit a pizza spot after the day. I didn't need the pizza, but it was fantastic. But yeah, one's a want and one's a need. So I need that breakfast sandwich in my life.
Just because one's a want and a need doesn't necessarily mean that the need is better than the want.
Well, it's like, would you rather give up gambling or water for the rest of your life? So
water. Sure.
Yeah, but you could totally give it up for Lent, though.
I want to give you a birthday shout. Happy early birthday, everyone. Flood Abe's DMs. He's turning
Aaron Judge year.
He wears
27.
No, that's Stanton.
Is it? Number 27.
Judge is 99.
Oh, my God. I feel like I'm 99, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
We've got Jamal Murray year. We've got, Rudy Gobert year. David Ortiz year. Mike Trout year.
David Ortiz. That is not his number.
Well,
I don't care if it says he's worn it. And 34 is David Ortiz's number.
How come when I type in number 27 in sports, it doesn't show the back of his jersey, but David Ortiz is the one?
David, I'm guessing then he never wore 27. I don't know what you're looking at, but
are you looking at something, or are you just saying that?
No, I know for a fact.
Oh no, yeah,
that David
he's 34
Ortiz
for
34.
sure. I'm just trying to age myself, man, over here. Not many 27s in sports. Don't really want it to be a Rudy Gobert here because then
I was gonna say, like, not to get weird, but is 27 somewhat cursed? Like Ray Rice wore 27, Gobert's 27, Jamal Murray is 27. I mean,
what is cursed about Jamal Murray?
I mean, he had a little leakage on the internet. It is what it is. But, all right, happy early birthday to you.
Thank you.
Make sure everyone floods Abe's DMs. Give him some
Not till
birthday
Tuesday,
love.
but we won't be here.
Remind him that, that the Eagles lost the Super Bowl. All right, here we go. Cap of the week, Abe. Who was capping this week?
I'm going to let you lead off real quick.
Okay. My cap of the week is cancel culture. Specifically, a young man by the name of Brandon Miller. So, Brandon Miller is an unbelievable college basketball player. He was proven not guilty in a police report, although he did deliver a gun to a teammate who committed murder.
We will not be commenting on an active investigation.
Yeah, exactly. No comment here. But cap of the week that, like, Brandon Miller gives a damn because he went off for 41 and the game winner the first night after the report came out. Then later in that game when he hits the game winner, the announcer says, like, oh, he silenced the crowd or he hit the silencer. Like, come on, bro. Like, you got to know better. If cancel culture was real, like, Brandon Miller and that announcer would be canceled. Carry on. Then on Saturday in his pregame introduction, he gets introduced, comes off the bench, and his, like, teammate dap-up is him getting patted down. Like, they're checking his pockets as if he had a weapon on him. They're feeling behind his waistline. They're making a mockery out of it. So, my cap of the week is Brandon Miller and cancel culture.
So, I saw this pat-down video, and I saw everyone up in arms on Twitter about how tone-deaf it is, understand the moment, like, you can't do that. I didn't think it was that huge of a deal. I thought people were blowing it up. I just feel as if that's, like, a regular, like, introduction that a lot of people do. And I understand that in that moment you don't do that.
But not when you just hand-delivered a murder weapon, which we will not be commenting on.
We will not be commenting on. But from a different angle, I do want to say from this spin zone, I didn't know about Brandon Williams prior because I'm not in tune with college basketball during the regulars. Brandon, what did I say? Williams. Brandon Miller. I didn't know much about him. Found out for him to be a lottery pick. This is bringing a lot of attention to him. And I can only imagine that his draft stock, to be honest, is going through the roof. Because as long as Brandon Miller is not charged or involved in this investigation, NBA team's going to say, we don't give a fuck what happened. Like, you can hoop. We're going to draft you. Now he has all these eyes on him. He's hooping. I think it's actually helping his draft stock. But again, we won't comment on what's going on. I'm just saying if he has nothing to do with all of this. But yeah, I saw people going up in arms about the pat-down introduction. And I, like, at first when I saw it, I was like, are they freaking out about the pat-down, the smoke coming through? Like, I'm trying to understand. I was like, everyone's freaking out about this? It's like, everyone's just trying to stick their nose in a place that doesn't belong and get involved in the story. And that's how I kind of viewed it.
I mean, to be fair, I think that people are rightfully up in arms about it. It is tone deaf. It is hilariously, we don't give a damn about what people think, which is why I say cap of the week to cancel culture. You guys are garbage at canceling people. If you wanted to cancel, this is a prime cancel candidate.
Yeah. I also beg the question, and I'm not going to go back and check the tape, but, like, are we sure he hasn't, like, done this introduction all year? Like, that's just not his thing.
It doesn't matter. Even if he has, this is the point. You cannot.
What do you mean? He's going to be an NBA lottery pick. Like, you got to stick to what's working. I don't know. It didn't bother me as much. Again, if he's not involved in this situation whatsoever, and like by the law,
Well, he is involved in the situation.
He's
That
involved,
is the thing.
but
He
the
is
police
definitely
said
involved.
He's involved right now as a witness and not a suspect, and it's like don't. I don't know. The court of public opinion is different than the real court of law. So I'll leave it at that. My cap of the week, we're about 4 hours, I believe, from it occurring, is Tommy Fury. Everyone, he's about to fight Jake Paul in Saudi Arabia. Who even knows? But I feel like all these fights at the last minute, they're just like, oh, it's not happening. Oh, there was a visa issue. Oh, this, that, someone backed out. I'm firmly in the camp of these Jake Paul fights are fully rigged. I don't care that they're rigged. I think that there is rigging that goes on in boxing, in MMA, no matter what, no matter the level of the fight. And it took our Snapback Live event where I chatted up with our bartender. I want to get his name right. I believe it was Griffin, who was involved in the MMA world, and he just kind of gave me the ins and outs of how you can point out in every one of Jake Paul's fights how the fights are rigged. Like, this is what boxing needs. Boxing needs this Jake Paul figure coming up. I don't really know much about Tommy Fury. He is an actual boxer, correct? Like, I don't think Jake Paul has fought a legitimate boxer yet, right? He's had the Ben Askren, who came from MMA. He's had the Nate Robinson, who came from the 2008 dunk contest. But he hasn't fought a true boxer. And I think, and listen, I'm a mere 4 hours away from getting proven wrong. I don't think I'm going to be proven wrong. But if Tommy Fury's this boxer, Tyson Fury's his brother, chances are you should knock out a fucking Disney Channel star. But people think that Jake Paul can actually fight at this point. But my boy Griffin tells me that each one of these fights are rigged. You can point it out in each fight, and I find it hard to believe that with Jake Paul building an empire, maybe it's conspiracy side of Twitter that I'm on, but like I just refuse to accept that these fights are legitimate, and I think Jake Paul, just like as he's done, handles Tommy Fury with ease in a few hours. So
yeah,
I
would
goes
like
to
be
Tommy Fury
on
having
Jake
a
Paul
chance.
money line.
I think it's affordable. I think it's affordable too.
It is. It is. Did you see the script that got leaked this morning?
The Lions Chiefs for next year?
No, the Tommy Fury Jake Paul script got leaked this morning.
Well, what is it? Because I'd like to be rich.
I was gonna say, if you believe that the fight's rigged, then you would have to believe that.
Well, I just ranted. So we're big fans of skin in the game, aren't we?
Okay. Jake Paul by 8th round TKO is what the script has. It has an eye injury to Fury at some point during the match, and then
is this ChatGPT?
No. This is like a leaked script. There was even like someone's name attached to it. Which made it less believable, in my opinion.
I can't even.
I don't
find
think
it
you can
on
bet
one of these.
it. Can you?
Why not? Is it not
know.
officially sanctioned? That just makes it even more rigged.
I'm gonna see if Underdog has some.
Speaking of which, I saw a tweet this morning. How liquid are you, Jack?
Jake Paul and Tommy Fury are listed on Underdog. How liquid am I?
Yes.
Pretty liquid.
Okay. Well, I think we have a way. If you wanted a little arbitrage to make a quick 65,000.
I'm intrigued.
That would involve us putting, I believe, 1.3 million on Tommy Fury, as well as a certain amount on Jake Paul. So my question is, do you have 1.3 laying around?
They're both listed at plus money on different books.
Yes.
What happens in the case of a draw?
Get fucked.
We're out 1 point. That's the thing. In a world of boxing where more fights means more money, and if we think it's rigged, I'm probably not going to bet a scenario where there could be a draw.
Well, if you have 1.3 laying around, I'm willing to put on that risk of the draw. Just wire it my way, and I'll give you a little 5% finder's fee or backing fee.
Couldn't you take no draw at like minus 1,000, 1.3 to win 65,000?
Now we're getting into mental math, which we're not going to do.
Okay. All right, we'll move along. Are you ready?
For what? For what, Jack?
For my rant? For my rant on the Sixers?
Go ahead.
So last night, the Sixers and Celtics played a great basketball game, which ended with a Jason Tatum 3 and then a Joel Embiid full-court heave, which obviously you should count that. Like, if it's with .2 over the clock and he makes a full court shot, like, just play into overtime. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Anyways, the Sixers end up losing the game. So now is my time to rag on the Sixers. Last night was a microcosm of what the Philadelphia Sixers are. You'll and all of Philly will hang around all year long and all through the first round of the playoffs saying, we're a great team. We can get to the finals. We're as good as these teams. James Harden's playing the best basketball he's played in years. Joel Embiid is the best player in the NBA. We've got more depth than we've ever had. But what we saw last night is exactly why the Sixers will not go past the second round of the playoffs like they do every year. Because it's the little things, it's the very little things that just continue to repeat. And it's the fact that the game is made up of such small margins. And while you have the best player in probably every series except the Bucks in the Eastern Conference, and while you do have a deeper team than you normally do, it's the fact that like these mini margins are what separates good from great in the playoffs. And Doc Rivers is still your coach. And Joel Embiid is still the feature player down the stretch. And we've just seen in the playoffs that does not function well. And it's because while James Harden's playing the best basketball over the last 3 years, in the playoffs, he does not play at a different level. He actually plays at a lesser level. And it's because of all these little things, the Doc Rivers, and it's just the little margins that the Sixers don't have. Which is why in a 7-game series, when the series is separated by literally 1 or 2 plays, it's why the Sixers are always on the wrong side of things. And it's why that'll continue this year. And I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's just a realization of this is how it goes.
I'm not going to respond by going on a huge fuck you rant that the Sixers are definitively coming out of the East, the best team in the East, because at that, like, I've been doing that for years, right? And at some point,
that stick ain't working anymore.
It just gets fucking exhausting, right? And it gets hard to defend after a while. The reality of the fact is that, in my opinion, Joel Embiid has been the runner-up for MVP in the last 2 years. Should have probably been the MVP in both, depending on who you ask. And he's playing it somehow better than he was in each of the previous 2 years. Whether it's he's taken that step mentally, I don't know. But he is somehow exceeding every year. And in my opinion, again, Joel Embiid, when Kevin Durant's healthy, is the third best player in the NBA. And when he's not, he's the second best behind Giannis and the most dominant. And I'm not going to sit here and try and argue at this point that the Sixers deserve to be talked about as favorites ahead of Boston, ahead of Milwaukee. Because, again, after these 5 years, whatever it's been, Boston and Milwaukee have earned their right to be there. And, like, you do have to earn that right to say that you're the kings of the East. But I think everyone's in agreement that the East, the per team coming out of the East is Boston, Milwaukee, or Philadelphia. And Philadelphia, if you're going to put them third in that, fine, whatever. It'll come down to matchups. But where you lose me on that margin thing is that if you look in the past 5 years, something minuscule, mostly out of the Sixers, or something massive, mostly out of the Sixers' control, has gone horribly fucking wrong in the playoffs to where we're handicapped. It was the Kawhi shot, horribly wrong, like that shot. And
but
then it was
and
then it was the bubble, the bubble, and Ben Simmons gets hurt, and then it's the Hawks, and Embiid's not healthy going in, and the Ben Simmons collapse. That's the only series I'll say the Hawks. Then Embiid's hurt last year, like Embiid breaks his face the month before. It's like at some point, like if you get me a healthy team going into it, then we'll see. Right,
but that's the thing. It's you always make fun of the Cowboys, right? Whose law is it?
Yeah,
no,
for
Murphy?
Sure. Yeah,
it's
no,
like,
it's totally applicable to the Sixers as well. I'm not saying that it's not, and you can make fun of the Sixers and have a full podium to stand on and the right to do so. It is totally the case with the Cowboys than it is the Eagles. The only difference is the Cowboys are America's fucking team, and they have the loudest and the biggest fan base and all this shit, so it brings it way more into a microscope than it does the Sixers. But you're 1,000% correct. It is Murphy's Law with the Sixers, and that's why it's exhausting at this point, is because we know how good Joel is. We know that we have the team around him, and it's just, you feel as if at some point what can go wrong will go wrong, whether it's in your control or not in your control, whether it's injuries, whether it's the Kawhi shot. All we, like, to be, like, genuinely, the thing that I hold on to the most, and it happens, I feel, as if with every single superstar, at some point, Joel, I think, is going to break through and have that dominant playoff run. Whether it leads to a conference finals appearance and a loss there, whether it leads to a finals appearance and a loss there, whether it leads to a championship. Giannis did it. Tatum did it. All these guys do it. And Joel has, unfortunately, either come up short in his early mature years or in recent memory has been hurt during the playoffs, and that's been handicapping him. And I know that's the biggest thing with Embiid is he can't stay healthy, he can't stay on the floor, and whatever. But, like, to say that a broken fucking face isn't bad luck, like, it is. Like, it's bad luck. It's like last night Embiid, after that shot, he was asked, like, about the shot. He said, story of my career. Like, just like it just doesn't work out.
That's depressing.
Yeah, no, it was. I woke up to that. It was dark. He said, story of my career. I would genuinely, I've said this to numerous people. After this year, if we don't get out of the second round, if things go just according to plan as they usually do, and what can go wrong will go wrong, I don't blame Embiid for wanting out of Philadelphia. The guy deserves to win. He does. He's so fucking good. And at some point, enough is enough, right? And maybe it's just me itching to get back to the process years, because that was some of the easiest fandom time of my life from a mental sanity standpoint. But, like, at some point, Embiid's going to break through and have that playoff run, because he's too special of a player not to. Whether it's in Philadelphia or not, I don't know. But all I ask is, like, what you've asked for the Ravens is get me healthy going into April, and let the cards fall as they will. Like,
yeah,
that's
but
all.
I didn't get that wish granted, so I don't know.
I know you. I've never, and I rarely get that wish granted in the NBA as well. But it's that type of thing. It's just like, give me a clean slate of no bad luck, and let's see what happens. On a more
serious note, though, I think my point is, even if they are healthy, they are still the third best team in the East, and it is a limited margin. But it's these limited margin plays and actions that really freak me out.
I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue that we're the third best, because, again, we haven't earned that right. The Sixers started 12-12, and since then are the best team in the NBA. Like,
that's not true, though. That's not true. Milwaukee has won 13 consecutive games.
Right, but I'm saying since we started 12-12, we're 27-8. That's the best record in the NBA. That is a fact. Milwaukee is probably the hottest right now. We won 5 straight going into last night before Boston, and then previously that we were 18-5 and 23. Like, we've been playing similar to how Boston.
You're playing, but once again, similar. But once again, Milwaukee has won 13 in a row. They're a half game back of Boston, and
I'm
Boston,
not arguing.
even with Milwaukee winning 13 in a row, is still ahead of them, which makes those two teams the best in basketball. Even if you guys started 12-12 and your ass, and you can't beat the Knicks. All right. Where do Jalen Ramsey and Bobby Wagner play?
Big
flip
flop. Big flip flop. Whew. I don't want to be a homer, but I've got the 30th. Fuck, how is it the 31st and not the 32nd? Oh, the 31st pick going to the Rams for Jalen Ramsey, and I think Jalen Ramsey's going to be an Eagle. I do. I think Bradbury's going to get paid elsewhere. Howie's going to look to fill that spot. Howie historically has used that draft pick to try and get a bigger talent or more from his
pick. Can you afford a Jalen Ramsey type? Because he's still got a couple years on that contract.
Brother,
no?
cap doesn't make sense. Not my problem. I'm not going to try and be the cap god
but
right
Bradbury
now.
Was an obvious 1 year fill in $8 million or whatever he made, $12 million. I don't know the number. Ramsey is a little more of kind of a loaded situation. It's not really
you restructure.
Just like
cap doesn't make sense. Not my problem. As far as Bobby Wagner goes, that's a little bit more interesting of a story, because Bobby Wagner, even though the Rams were disappointing last year, Bobby Wagner was Bobby freaking Wagner. Like, he was all pro again. I think he's 9 years in a row or something as a Pro Bowl or whatever it is. So he's set to be a free agent, I believe. So he can pick where he goes. So, I mean, presumably you think he's going to want to play for a contender. I think Buffalo makes sense, to be honest. They did it with Von Miller. They brought him in. It didn't necessarily work. I mean, it worked when they got a Super Bowl, but then Von Miller got hurt this year. And so I think Bobby Wagner makes sense on the Buffalo team.
Okay. I'm going to go Jalen Ramsey to the Lions. I am so excited for the summer of 2023 being the Lions summer. The hype train, them being at like 20 or 15-1 to win the Super Bowl. The script is already out on them being in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. Like, holy cuddle session, Jared Goff this summer. It's going to be magnificent. So what drives more fun than taking a star like Ramsey, the loudmouth, coming from LA, planting him, reuniting him with Jared Goff in LA, in Detroit, although I would have to fact check this, but I feel like they have beef. I feel like Ramsey talks shit on Goff. He talks shit on a lot of quarterbacks.
I feel like there's not a team that Jalen Ramsey could go to where he didn't talk shit on their starting quarterback.
No, but remember it was like 2 summers ago when he like created his list of like all these quarterbacks are absolute dog water. I'm not sure if Goff was on that list. Bobby Wagner, I think the assumption he wants to play for a contender. I think he wants to go play for a historically great defense. I think he's going to go to Pittsburgh. I have no clue why I feel that way, but it just feels like he would.
He could be. He looks like a Tomlin. He feels like a Tomlin guy.
Yeah, he's a Tomlin guy. Like I could see him in the black and gold. Him and Watt could make that D really
similar
really
to
scary.
like when they picked up Minka. It's like this is just like has it written all over.
It just
like
makes sense. Yeah, and as a Ravens fan, that's the truth of me coming out. So I'm going with Bobby to Pittsburgh. We'll see who gets that right.
Would you say that the Rams, like the Rams went all in and now it's blowing up in their face, but it worked. So like you can't really be mad, right?
That's the model. Is you go for it, but that's what breaks the model is when you overload the cap with a quarterback who can't even stay on the field. So. Bobby to Pittsburgh, Jalen to Detroit, two gross locations. I mean, leaving LA to head to Detroit and Pittsburgh, not the greatest. But we'll clip this, post it on SnapbackSports podcast on YouTube, and you guys can comment. And maybe Eagleson will drop a little community post, and you guys can put your responses there.
If he's feeling
those
sexy.
are our picks. Abe. We're in the second half. Actually, we're in the final trimester of the NBA season. Who has been the best free agency, buyout, or trade deadline pickup up to this point?
This is a stupid fucking question. You know who I am. He hasn't even played yet. It's Kevin Durant. When he's healthy, he's probably the best player in the world. The scariest player in the world. The scariest player in the world in one basketball game to go up against is Kevin Durant. Okay? That's just how I feel. You know who I am. It's Kevin Durant. The Suns, while they were doing Sun stuff and winning a lot of games, like everyone knew they kind of weren't going anywhere. Chris Paul is tailing off and everything. It's kind of just Devin Booker. They needed that spark. And what bigger fucking spark than Kevin Durant, debatably one of the biggest trades in NBA history, and we're asking who the biggest pickup is. We're asking if it's Terrence Ross to the Suns off the buyout market. We're asking if it's Myers Leonard on a 10-day contract. No, it's Kevin Durant to Phoenix because it makes them the prohibited favorites to win the championship.
I would tend to agree with you. Some other shouts would go to Kyrie Irving. Abe and I said the energy will shift on Russell Westbrook. And after one game, he leads the third or fourth highest scoring performance in NBA history for the Clippers. It was all because of him, though they scored 174 points. Shout out to Josh Hart, undefeated as a New York Knickerbocker. It's important to say. But, yeah, you have to think it's Kevin Durant. And when Mikal Bridges, he's going on one of the funniest PR tours right now. I'm thoroughly
He's just
enjoying
like, he's throwing his hands up going like, obviously they have to do that trade for me, but like, fuck.
Yeah, he literally said that, and it was a little bit sad and I was empathetic to him. He was talking about it, and he said we when talking about the Suns, and he was like, I mean they. But as a Suns fan, it's probably nice to know that, like, he understands the move, and he still feels strongly about Phoenix and his time there. And he's a great player, so I'm excited for him. I hope he can get out of Brooklyn, though. They're a joke to Brooklyn. Go back to New Jersey.
Oh, do you want to? Can we just do a quick cuck of the week real quick? Just like because I have to. Once I just need my fix. Ben Simmons, you wanted your own team, brother. You got it.
Yeah,
and
Ben
out of the rotation. Out of the rotation.
By the way, I said to you, I'm ready to shut him down for the year. You just give me the word.
I'll draft up the tweet. I promise you.
Draft it up.
I promise you, Ben Simmons will be shut down within the next 2 weeks for the year. Now, it's a knee thing. First, he was out of the rotation. I know how this movie goes. I've seen it a million times.
You know it. I get it.
Let's shut him down. Let's shut him down on Twitter. Snapback sources.
The internet graphic of the week belongs to my boy at Kofi on Twitter. He tweeted, "What's the most out of nowhere sports performance of all time?" Abe, take it away.
Okay, so my instant gut reaction is obviously Nick Foles. However,
Ooh.
I'm gonna shift here a little bit. Tell me why it's not Leicester City winning the Premier League.
Interesting. So
let me caveat.
Yeah.
Let me caveat. I have no idea the logistics of what it takes in order to win a Premier League. I have no idea if you have to go on like a crazy March Madness tournament run of beating a bunch of teams in a row. I have no idea if it's goal scoring. But what I do know about Leicester City, I meant like aggregate goals. But what I do know about Leicester City is that they're like the biggest underdog in sports history, and it's the biggest came out of fucking nowhere championship pretty much of all time. So to answer the question quite literally, like the Eagles were still the fifth favorite to win the Super Bowl or something
and I was going to say,
the playoffs
and
at
Foles
that time.
It wasn't Foles 27-2 season.
27-2 in a season, but like we were underdogs in each one of the game, but like we were plus 250 in the Super Bowl. Like what was Leicester City to win the Premier League? Exactly. And so for that reason, I'm going to go Leicester City.
I'll caveat. I think that's an incredible answer. I love that you went there. Most people went player specific, right? So I think that was kind of like the basis for it a little bit.
Well, it's my podcast.
Exactly. And it's your interpretation of the question too. So I like that. I'm going to go with Linsanity. I mean, this guy was a I don't know, a D League back then. He came out of nowhere and then captivated the world, literally the world. He was this nerdy kid from Harvard who could shoot the basketball a little bit, and then was dropping buckets on Kobe. And like each game, it was just like, okay, tonight it ends. And then for like a couple weeks, it just didn't end. The game winner against the Raptors. He was living on his teammate's couch. And then, he actually did hang around a little bit and showed he's a decent hooper. But, like, out of nowhere, how do you even go from that to the star of the world? I don't know if there's ever been, like, okay, I'll put it like this. If Mac McClung then went on to play, like, an all-star for the next 3 weeks for the Sixers, that's, like, the equivalent of what the Linsanity run was like. It was like that seminal moment. But then it was the continue of that moment where every game it was must-watch TV. So I'm gonna say him.
I do love the Mac McClung comparison because I think that's a good comparison. But what I will say, and maybe this is just the hater in me, would Linsanity have been as insane if it wasn't in a New York Knicks uniform with the New York media?
No, I don't think so.
If Jeremy Lin was a Charlotte Hornet and went on the Linsanity run, hitting step backs over Kobe game winners, I don't think we would remember. I don't think there'd be Netflix documentaries.
Probably not, but I think that's what makes it even crazier was the fact that he did it in the New York media.
As usual, the New York media favoritism as per usual.
Couple shouts here. So you've got Matt Flynn's performance against the Detroit Lions. He outdueled actually Matt Stafford. He threw 6 touchdowns. Talk about like one game earning you fucking $50 million. Shout out Matty Flynn. Another one that was in the comment section that I was honestly forgetful of. Jonas Gray, running back for the New England Patriots, had 37 carries, 200-plus yards, and 4 touchdowns in a random Week 8 matchup against the Indianapolis Colts. So that one got another shout. And I'm sure you guys can think of a bunch of others. But
Peyton Hillis was on
like
Madden.
our picks. Yeah, we're thinking more like time, length here. And a lot of these responses were like these one-off performances. Corey Brewer, 51 points, those type of cats that just went absolutely ballistic. I think at this point, with the way the NBA is built, like it's not going to shock me if, more Cam Thomases score 40 points in 3 consecutive games. It just doesn't feel as unachievable. But Corey Brewer scoring 51 is nuts.
So we loosely mentioned it earlier in the pod, but let's revisit our question from last week. Since the Kings Clippers went 176 to 175, Jack, in that specific game, what do you attribute the scoring to? Is it the better players? Is it nobody playing defense? What is it in that specific game?
Yeah, I think I'm just sick and tired of trying to figure out what it is. My belief is that it's a lack of defense. Because when I DM'd our good friend Daryl,
I was going to say, I heard you outsourced for an answer to this question.
Yeah, I DM'd Daryl and I said, like, what do you expect to happen in the playoffs? And he said, I expect, points to go down by a few percent, like it does every year. I haven't had the chance to send a message back, but I kind of wanted to know, okay, but for what reason? I think we all agree scoring will go down. My belief is that it will be because of improved defense and specifically effort. Now, you could say it's because of game planning, but I don't think that there's any doubt that just because teams are shooting more threes that scoring will go down in the postseason. When I saw the score, I made the assumption that it had gone to like 3 or 4 overtimes. And then I wanted to see in either overtime if there was like this outside scoring. It was like 12 and 11 points each team in OT. The fact, like, that to me seems nuts. Like, a double OT game shouldn't just be one of the highest scoring games of all time. No one's playing fucking defense anymore. It's insane.
It was big time shot making and big time playing from better talent. De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk were special for the Kings. There were just some big time shot making. But let me know.
Okay. All right. Time out. Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox have been in the NBA for 5 years, right? They played at Kentucky, and now they've been in the year for 5 years. They didn't score like this until this season. And three-point shooting is not new just this season. So you're telling me there's like a 15% increase in efficiency and ability just this year versus last? No, there's a deficit in people playing defense. I'll say it again. I'll continue to hammer this point. The Knicks are scoring basketball points. They score over 110 a game. That means no one's playing fucking defense. I promise you. No one's playing defense if the Knicks are scoring.
Well, when you respond to Daryl, just at the end, just be like, and would you care to comment on the backup center rotation? Just, I would like to know. I would just like to be
interested. He probably doesn't want to get
because
in the
he purposely omitted Montrezl Harrell's name in a podcast the other week, and I think that was calculated. But he happened to mention Dwayne Dedmon, so kill me.
All right, so this is our Monday podcast. So in the future, we're going to have and bring back Monday Mailbag, which we're actually very excited for. We love answering the fams' questions, hearing what's on their mind. So the way we'll source these questions is in the SnapbackSports Discord. We're going to have a podcast-specific channel. So to get that link, Eagleson will plug it in the YouTube description, so you'll always be able to find it there. You'll be able to find it on our Instagram. You'll be able to just DM Abe, Eagleson, or I to get a link to the Discord, and we'll hook you up. So no Monday Mailbag today, but by next Monday, we want to have that rolling. So now, Eagleson, please join us for a final finit. The Miami Dolphins. I'm trying to there doesn't seem to be a ton in the Dolphins ecosystem. Is it a slow off season? I don't know, but
the off season officially hasn't started for another 2 weeks.
Gotcha. Okay. So
no, I shouldn't say that. The off season has started, but the new season doesn't start until March 15th or something.
Okay. All right, Eagleson, do you have 60 seconds of Miami Dolphins content?
I'm ready. A little bit hungover, a little bit sick, but I'm ready.
I could tell when you came on with the hood.
The gray sweatshirt hood.
It's not. It's not a good day. But I will say the breakfast sandwich is what I need right now. Not the. I would give up the drunk snack last night. Give me the breakfast sandwich right now.
What'd you have, drunk eats?
Pizza. It was literally frozen pizza. And it was good. Don't get me wrong. But
did you heated it up, right?
Of course. Come on.
That's not very Canadian of you.
Yeah, would have just ate it frozen out of the box.
Get some ice from outside, puts it on as a topping.
Not very sandpaper
of me. It's true.
But it's not what the puck. So
here we go.
Mention
Let's
hockey.
do it.
The final Finit in 3, 2, 1.
It's been 8,093 days since the Dolphins' last playoff win, and Byron Jones will not be contributing to the next one. Byron put out some cryptic tweets a few days ago implying he can hardly move anymore and is likely retiring. Not sure how that makes any sense when you look at that video of him training that came out during the season. He was running and jumping and all that during the video, but whatever. It would be better if he retired, honestly. It would be better for Miami's cap situation. It would let them spread his salary out over a few years and reduces his dead cap in comparison to outright cutting him. Keeping it in this corner conversation, there's another guy available, Jalen Ramsey. You guys already kind of talked about him. And there's been a ton of rumors with him coming to Miami, and he would be a huge piece for our defense. Let X stay on the outside. Let Jalen kind of handle the middle of the field, the slot. He can work in Fangio's zone. Staley was his coach in 2020. He comes from Fangio's system. He played great in that zone, so we already know it works. It would be a huge piece for our team. Let X just stay on the outside. I would love it. Unfortunately,
we gotta work on our Dolphins.
By the way, last week during What the Puck, I got a very heated call from my mother. She was listening in the car, and apparently, we inserted a truck noise, and it scared the shit out of her.
The horn.
It's not a truck noise. It's the
golf,
horn.
whatever.
It's a goal horn.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Do you insert the dolphin noise?
So your guys have just been so amusing. I haven't yet, but if eventually they get to a point where they're not good, I'm just gonna put in the actual dolphin sound.
Like today, my voice just cracked. I woke up.
I'll probably have to put that.
That entire rant from Eagleson, specifically the Byron Jones and Jalen Ramsey stuff. All I could think about was that meme from Always Sunny in Philadelphia where Charlie's standing in front of an investigative board and it's got all the pins and he's finding the final solution and everything connects to each other. This is why it'll work. Fangio's zone, Jalen Ramsey in the slot, X on the outside. It works. It's a miracle. That's exactly what that felt like. It's you just slotted in Byron Jones retiring, signing Jalen Ramsey, and all of your problems being gone.
I mean,
8,000 days worth of misery being gone.
You said it, not me. I think you're actually absolutely correct.
That's how that came
let's
off.
Let's talk about the Byron Jones thing for a
Sure.
second, because this is actually pretty relevant in the larger media outside of just Dolphins.
Because Patrick
Twitter.
Mahomes was injected with illegal substances.
Yeah, he was, and apparently Byron Jones knows a little bit about them. One, you're a scumbag.
Why?
The fact that the only thing you think about is that it would lessen the cap hit on you guys. Just absolutely
trying to win Super Bowls.
terrible organization.
Businessman.
Yeah,
Trying to win Super Bowls.
Brutal. But respect. Two,
No, Andrew, you're trying to win a playoff game first. What do we talk about walking?
Yeah,
before
you're
you
right.
can run?
You're right. Playoff game.
do we think that this is a meaningful story? Do we think anything changes in the NFL? Do we think that other players are going to come out and talk about this, or is this
I feel
by
like other
Thursday?
players have been saying this for
Yeah.
a million years, and the NFL is a billion-dollar empire, and will either pay them to shut up or send somebody after them to shut them up. That's how I feel about it.
He did seem a bit more like he was gonna say a bit more. I kind of got that vibe from his tweet, so I wouldn't be too surprised if maybe he comes out with more stuff. But then again, I also wouldn't be surprised if nothing ever comes of this again and we never hear about it. So
Put it this way. You really think Byron fucking Jones is
gonna
going
take
to be
down-
the knight in shining
Yeah.
armor
He's not
that
bringing
takes
down
down the
the
NFL?
no, probably
Come
not.
on.
Yeah,
That's how I view
fair
the
enough.
situation.
yeah.
All right, fam. Well, I'm on vacation this week, but the pod does not stop. We will talk to you guys on Thursday as well. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube Snapback Sports Podcast. We got our new little icon.
Yep.
We got clips
sexy.
rolling.
The
We
shorts.
got the Discord. We got shorts popping. We got Abe going all corporate on us, going fucking tweeting it back at people like a
Dude,
corporate
I
no,
blew up.
huge for the pod. I know.
Dude, you were giving me shit.
No, time out. I want to clarify because I want to encourage this.
294 likes.
Let's go.
That is 1,000% an incredible engagement method that could lead to subs. But you tweeted like, "Hey, check this out!" Like,
dude. If it ain't broke,
like
don't
it was a
fix
LinkedIn
it.
post. Like
You're a bot.
But no, I love it.
Well,
I love
dude,
it.
it's what the secret sauce is working. Numbies don't
Hey,
lie,
it works,
brother.
dude. Yeah.
Numbies don't lie. All right, fam. Well, have a great week. Much love. Peace.